My love is as big as a house fire. I didn't think I'd see that woman again. Or should I say, that snake. Branded on the other side of the room. A little S, a little whisper smoke. No to spot a toxic person from the quality of fumes. No to spot a toxic person in how much they talk about love. Justice, abundance, fairness, intersectionality. Inspiration clogged with performativity. Smoke and mirrors. Repeat after I, she says. You're a strong, independent woman. I'm a strong, independent woman. What an isolating concept. The snake needs feeding. The snake is eating herself. Reminds me of something a bad mum would say. How much she loves being a mum. How much she was born to be a mum. I love being a mum. Playing mum. Me, mum. When really she gets home and it's fruit for dinner, while she curls her hair into big noose loops. So I guess it was ludicrous to think I wouldn't see that woman again, wisping by. That sort of woman exists in a lot of places, outside of womanhood even. Whose love comes glitching out of her, all fearful. Something to prove. A strong, independent woman. Keep applying that lip gloss while your face gets more and more pinched, like you're sucking yourself into yourself. I must have been like that for a while myself, in some of my most vulnerable iterations. I think I was like that the more time I spent with any of them. Women like that who were friends and family. Lash out at another and call it love. Call it homemaking or forgiveness, sisterhood, motherhood, compassion, truth. When what you saw before that moment of passion was your own steaming reflection in the mirror, your own vulnerabilities. This person is exposed. I can ensure this person is exposed and wounded because I feel wounded. I feel the risk of a wound. I'm a wounded woman and I have to ensure that this other woman is more wounded, has more to lose, bleeds first, is cut up into little feminine pieces which I'm so terrified of being cut up into. Here's some scissors. Here's a pot to smash. Here's a candle. I'll do it myself. Two women in disagreement. Thanks for joining me tonight. It's sort of the end of winter, so I really want to take this opportunity to sit here cozily and think about our bodies before everything gets warmer again. It's been a long winter, my legs are very hairy. I'm looking forward to when everything heats up again, even though it will mean having to expose my body all the time. No sweater to hide underneath. I'm gonna have a shiny face, all red just from moving around. I guess I feel like I don't look the way I'm supposed to in summer, sometimes. Swimsuits don't fit right. Now I'm gonna read a song. Demi Teen. I destroy myself with 2 words, undergird. 23 hollows in my nape, staring into space. Ooh, take me to the beach and prize out my teeth. My demi teeth, everything that tastes like me. Swish, swish through a fresh stream, trying to get clean. My kitty stare even saying trans bitch, narcissist. Ooh, taking myself east to prize out my demi teeth. My demi teeth, everything that tastes like me. Ooh, feel the salt pain drain my heart. Every wave says my name. Every linden tree, every mussy creed. Searing fears dependency. Ripping out my demi teeth to get a thing that tastes like me. See, I'm tempted to think that burning down a house is a specifically feminine kind of destruction. It's succumbing to this sort of pressure. You come upon a pile of kindling and simply need to send it up. Light all your candles at once. Light any candle you can see. Burning down the house is a gesture of love because it's all-consuming. It sees a lack of unity and enforces one in the gesture of burning. Like what begins in jealousy, sabotage, self-loathing, sort of balloons outwards. It needs a pretty holistic malaise, you know? A far-reaching sight. The more you find out about the world, the worse it gets. The more you find out about capitalism and the patriarchy, about gender depression, colonialism, racialized oppression, ableism, policing bodies, policing space, the worse it gets. Lots of things are burning in the chamber. Fuck that, right? Facebook groups are going up in flames willy-nilly. Reading groups. Institutions are peeling off their personnel. Arson is a sort of violent gesture of empathy. We didn't start the fire, but we can stoke the shit out of it. Put it where those in power don't want it to be. The torch in my painted hands feels drawn to the heavy curtains by itself, because it must. The impulse is to root out the cause of all evil, which is now diffused through every interaction. People hurting people. Afterwards, it's hard to have clarity over who owns the gesture of violence. The mad woman in the attic burns down the mansion with the memory of other fires stoked in her mind. Fires lit by scared and faceless dudes. Why is she compelled to replicate them? Difficult to come back from these moments where every social configuration seems to collapse inwards. I'm always in a lockstep with violence, except when there's nothing left to burn. The further I get away from it, the more I realize that my space within that community was always contested. There's this thing known amongst the trans femmes of Melbourne called the soup of hate. Oppression is like a soup of hatred that you're steeped in, to the point that you just start mauling each other. Only about 5 years ago in Melbourne, trans femmes are more or less shunned in queer spaces. All that changed with a big internet scandal call-out that basically popularised thinking around trans misogyny. So trans girls were suddenly allowed, and I was one of those enabled to come out of the shadows. But that was a tainted acceptance. It's not like once you invite some trans girls in that all the work is over, you know? People are still absent, and inside the house things aren't even that nice, in my opinion. I'm now pretty convinced that Reformation was as far as it would ever go. Reforming the cis-white, radical lesbian subject, which has such a strong history in that city, Melbourne, and in other cities. Trans girls were just there as a political fad, some eroticized but also untouchable banner to make the original queer woman look better, smell better, demonstrate her feminism is more sophisticated than just womb-loving. Like, sure, come and dance with me, babe. But make sure it's slinky enough, because anything even remotely resembling my idea of manhood is still disgusting. Anything that can be seen as men's bodies and men's desires is still fundamentally disgusting. It's trans-misog feminism, but this thinking can be mobilized in racist and colonial ways as well. It's anti-sex work and anti-porn. Some hangover that really makes me want to strike through a pack of matches, you know? Like this obeisance to a quite sanitized and policed version of womanhood. Queer womanhood, which is woman on woman, ultra-feminism, separatism, purity, whatever you want to call it. My logic is running that for an actually straight trans girl like me, and for anyone who is still backed into a corner in the way that they can express themselves and their desires, there simply isn't enough love to go around. There's only so many podiums you can dance on. It felt like, for me, all the trans girls were constantly looking at each other for reassurance, for what was allowed, but also scaring the living daylights out of each other. Observing our successful or botched smugglings of ourselves into this fucking toxic world. I probably had about 6 different friends who tried to throw me under the bus in different ways. Our identities sat so closely together. And when I left Melbourne, I knew I had some serious questions to ask about transphobia, community, the razor edge of womanhood, mirrors, closeness, locksteps, fires. I just want to sprinkle a little salt over my shoulder out of superstition. Maybe I don't mean the word woman when I say it like that. Or maybe I do. That word always felt like a receding point of vision for me. Also very heavy. But it seems appropriate in spitting all my poison out. And I need something for the incantation. I will now read a section from Jean Genet's 1943 novel, Our Lady of the Flowers. She was in Spain, I believe. Kids were chasing her and screaming, maricona, which means faggot, and throwing stones at her. She ran to a sidetrack and climbed into an empty train. The kids continued from below to insult her and pepper the doors of the train with stones. Divine crouched under a seat, cursing the horde of children with all of her might, hating them until she rattled with hatred. Her chest swelled out. She longed for a sigh so as not to choke with hatred. And then she realized that it was impossible to devour the kids, to rip them to pieces with her teeth and nails as she would have liked to. And so she loved them. The pardon gushed forth from her excess of rage, of hatred, and she was thereby appeased. So what's important after a fire? That you're still alive, for one. Turns out you're probably stronger for the baptism, for the beautiful liquid scar that's grown up ugly around your trust. It's fine if you heal it right. Lots of covering and creaming, straw in there to keep you breathing. You know more about the world now, know your ugly self better, you know boundaries. Nobody to answer to but the people you seek out to answer to. It's a question of integrity. You haven't stopped being a witch despite your time at the stake. Rats still scream out from under your skirt as you enter the room. There's still a star on your forehead. You still cook dinners and share them. You know the smell of a good meal. You get better and better at serving it up and walking away from the toxic people, the insular dynamics. You carry around a good pair of scissors instead of a big fucking jerry can of petrol. Talking to your sister again. Talking to your mother for what feels like the first time. You develop a laugh that sounds like a cracking whip or a hurricane. Things melt in new ways. You feel pretty good at the eye of that small storm. You make of any joke lightness. It's sharing space again, just the right amount of unwieldy. Your love feels like it's lost its milk teeth. Not scared of choking on the breast, not over-trusting. You feel soft and armed. That's why I say that feeding is easier, cooking is better, all shared. It doesn't disguise the fact that there's still not enough love to go around, and the revolution isn't here. The big fire isn't here. And there are things in front of your nose that look good and smell good, can be passed around.